What happens when a city spends years trying to bring down crime, only to be shaken by a weekend of violence that leaves more than a dozen people shot? That's the painful reality Indianapolis is facing right now. Despite homicide numbers being down in 2025, a string of shootings this past weekend, including a chaotic mass shooting, has sparked new questions about public safety, personal responsibility, and the role of the community in stopping the bloodshed. Police Chief Chris Bailey didn't hold back at a recent press conference. His message wasn't just about what law enforcement is doing. It was a direct challenge to residents, asking, what is the community doing to reform itself? It's a tough question, one that cuts through the usual debates about policing, reform, and government programs. Because at the heart of this issue is something simple yet complicated: choices. And the choices made last weekend cost lives, left families in fear, and once again put Indianapolis in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Let's break down what actually happened. According to police, in the early morning hours of September 21st, a conflict spiraled out of control during what should have been a normal night. 7 people ended up shot in what's now being called a mass shooting. Witnesses told investigators it started when one man grabbed a handgun from the waistband of another, firing wildly. That triggered a chain reaction. The man who lost his gun pulled out a second weapon and started firing back. To make things even more chaotic, a third person, still unidentified, may have also opened fire. Within seconds, the scene detectives are still working to collect video, talk to witnesses, and piece together exactly how it all unfolded. But one thing is certain: innocent lives were caught in a storm they never should have been near. Chief Bailey called it exactly what it was: a community-wide problem with guns and a lack of emotional control. He emphasized that enforcement alone cannot solve this crisis. His department is working around the clock, yes, but police can't be everywhere. What stood out most in his remarks was the call for people to think before they act. He said flat out, each one of us must take responsibility for the choices we make, because those choices can cost lives, including your own. That means walking away from fights, resisting the urge to pull a trigger, and remembering that carrying a weapon doesn't solve problems. It often makes them worse. And he's not wrong. In this case, multiple people decided to escalate, and the result was tragedy. Bailey's words weren't meant to shift blame onto the community, but to wake it up. Because for every new shooting, there are countless lives disrupted, families mourning, kids growing up in fear, and neighborhoods losing faith in their own safety. It's not like Indianapolis isn't trying. Beyond law enforcement, the city has invested in prevention programs, youth outreach, and partnerships designed to break cycles of violence. Tony Lopez from the Office of Public Health and Safety spoke alongside Bailey, reminding everyone that their conflict resolution center is open, free, and neutral. This center mediates disputes ranging from family fights to neighbor tensions to police-community conflicts. The idea is simple: give people a place to resolve issues before they turn violent. Lopez put it powerfully: it hurts. We're losing individuals in our city, young and old. We're going to keep our hope alive, to keep pushing through, and to keep trying to make a difference. His words echoed the frustration of many who work day after day in violence prevention. They can offer resources, but if people keep choosing guns over dialogue, it's like trying to stop a flood with a paper cup. Programs exist, but they only work if people actually use them. And the violence wasn't limited to that mass shooting. Over the course of the weekend, a total of 15 people were shot across multiple incidents. On September 20th, 2 14-year-olds walked into Community East Hospital after being shot. They were conscious, but their injuries raised another disturbing detail. 2 16-year-olds who had been with them were arrested for having firearms, including a machine gun. That means kids, barely in their teens, are already armed with dangerous weapons. Later that same evening, police were called to a home on Ruckle Street. There, a confrontation turned violent, leaving a 33-year-old man critically injured. The shooter claimed self-defense, and detectives are now investigating whether the victim was trying to break into the house. It's a reminder that every case is different, yet they all add to the same troubling picture. Guns are everywhere. Conflicts escalate too fast, and lives are hanging in the balance. Part 6. By late Saturday night, things escalated again. At around 11:30 p.m., police rushed to Georgetown Road after reports of shots fired. 3 more people were hit during what detectives described as a disturbance at a gathering. The suspect fled in a vehicle, leading officers on a chase. When they finally caught him after he crashed, they found not only a handgun, but another illegal machine gun conversion device inside his car. That suspect, just 21 years old, is now facing multiple charges, including resisting law enforcement, criminal recklessness, and possession of a machine gun. Think about that. 2 separate cases in one weekend involving machine gun conversions, and both linked to young people. It shows a dangerous trend that goes beyond simple gun possession. These aren't just reckless choices. They're calculated risks that transform ordinary weapons into battlefield-level firepower. And if this is becoming a pattern, the consequences for public safety are chilling. Chief Bailey acknowledged the setbacks. This weekend was a setback, and it does not define our city, he said, reminding everyone that public safety is a shared responsibility. It's easy to point fingers at the police, at city leaders, at the justice system, but Bailey's challenge was deeper. What happens when the community itself doesn't reform? What happens when individuals continue making decisions that invite violence? His question, what is the community doing to reform itself, isn't about shifting blame. It's about shifting perspective, because ultimately, no amount of police reform or government policy can replace individual accountability. That doesn't mean the system is off the hook. It means that even the best system collapses if people refuse to make better choices. And after a weekend like this one, the urgency couldn't be clearer. People can't keep waiting for someone else to fix it. It has to start within neighborhoods, within families, and within individuals. So where does Indianapolis go from here? The investigations into each shooting are ongoing. Police are piecing together what happened. Prosecutors are preparing charges, and community leaders are calling for calm. But beyond the headlines, the real work has to happen in everyday decisions. Do you walk away from a fight, or do you pull a weapon? Do you seek help from mediation services, or do you let pride drive you to violence? Those choices add up, and as this weekend showed, they can decide whether someone lives or dies. While Chief Bailey and Tony Lopez continue urging for prevention and responsibility, the challenge rests with the community to step up. Because safety isn't just about lower homicide numbers on a chart. It's about people feeling safe enough to live, to gather, and to trust their city again. And until that happens, the question Bailey asked will hang in the air. What is the community doing to reform itself?